Good afternoon, everyone. Before we dive in, I want to share with you something about myself. So I like games, playing games. We play with the family, with the kids. And when I thought of our traditional IT landscape, it was like a very straightforward board game. Predictable, contained, everything was easy. Today, when we think of our IT landscape, it's like playing 3D chess across multiple boards with multiple players. So in this session, we'll walk you through how SASE can help you play in this game and even win in it. So as we look at today's world, it is more complex than ever before. With the explosion of cloud technologies, applications moved out of the traditional data center and run in a multi-cloud environment. Now, add to that our hybrid work reality, in which users can essentially be anywhere. The traditional perimeter no longer exists. And this multi-cloud environment leads to increased operational costs, added complexity, and also increased security risks. Your attack surface grows substantially. 41% of CIOs and IT leaders identify the need to securely connect users to applications and resources as their number one obstacle. And most of the leaders claim that they need a consistent operational model across both their on-prem as well as this cloud in this distributed environment as a way to really address those complexity challenges. And this is where SASE comes in. Now, SASE was coined by Gartner in 2019, and it stands for Secure Access Service Edge. And traditionally, it is a technology convergence play that brought together multiple security functions in the cloud, defined as referred to as Secure Service Edge, or SSE in short, alongside with SD-WAN. And that is the traditional definition of SASE. When we look at SASE, it is more broadly a technology convergence that it brings together networking and security in order to meet the needs of this new hyper-distributed environment. So we look at SASE as a much broader term than the original definition. Now, when customers are looking to embark and start their journey into SASE, there's different ways to get there. What you see on the left is this disaggregated stuff of different components, different tools that were created and brought to life because of this pursuit of best-of-breed solutions. And that led to vendor sprawl, that led to a high level of complexity, and we can't really call it SASE. When convergence on SSE and SD-WAN happens, this is where integrated SASE comes in. And that allows customers to essentially consume and use the two building blocks of SASE, SSE and SD-WAN, separately. Now, those can come from two different vendors for a dual vendor integrated SASE, or from a single vendor with the single vendor approach, promising a much tighter integration between the two. Now, as we see the market evolve, we see much more demand as well as supply to bringing it all together into a common platform. And this is where the turnkey solution that brings a unified SASE solution with networking and security managed and operated together is where we believe the market is going. Now, many of the solutions today in the market are dual vendor, are integrated solutions, because customers were in different phases and adopting different technologies. But Cisco is one of the only vendors that offers capabilities and products across all of these different motions. So it doesn't matter where you are in your SASE journey, we can help you start that. And as we look at our portfolio, we have the most extensive portfolio. And it's driven by our two-pronged strategy. First, we continue to enhance our SASE building blocks across SD-WAN, across SSE. But in parallel to that, we also bring it all together with unified SASE. Now, customers can purchase the building blocks from Cisco in order to enable either dual vendor integrated SASE or combine them together to an integrated single vendor solution. And alternatively, you can get a fully unified SASE solution with Cisco Secure Connect, which is a converged SASE solution that leverages our Cisco Security Cloud and the Cisco Networking Cloud. So as you look at SASE, what are the key tenets that you should be evaluating and looking at a solution? First, very important, the solution needs to be complete, meaning it needs to address all the core use cases that SASE delivers for secure internet access, for secure private access, with zero trust principles. It needs to offer visibility into the user experience. It needs to be able to allow you to troubleshoot and understand problems in your environment. It needs to be built on a global footprint with best-in-class performance and SLAs. And very important, it needs to be backed by a robust security and threat intelligence to respond to quickly respond to threats that are becoming more and more sophisticated every day. Beyond that, it needs to be a simple solution. And people that are in the security realm know that complexity is the #1 enemy of security. So in order to have a simple solution, you need to start, first of all, by delivering a streamlined experience from day 0 all the way to day N. Not just quick to deploy, but also easy to manage and operate on an ongoing basis. And need to rethink policies and security, having an intent-based org-wide policy engine. And last, but definitely not least, to unlock the true power of SASE and the potential of SASE, it needs to be unified, allowing you to have a full stack management and operations for your entire environment, even beyond the SD-WAN and SSC. And it's also about having consistent identities and objects from premise, across premise, and cloud. So as we looked at our vision for unified SASE, we thought of these principles, and the idea is that we're bringing together, we're combining our best-in-class networking, client connectivity, security, visibility capabilities into a single subscription service that focuses on delivering the outcome, securely connecting users wherever they are to any application over any network, anywhere work happens. And to deliver on this vision, we have Cisco Secure Connect, which is a complete, simple, and unified SASE solution that leverages the power of the Meraki platform to deliver unified management for everything that is SASE. Looking at the SD-WAN and SSC functionality, looking at your remote workers, zero trust network access, users, identities, posture, all of that, but also alerting and logging and health and monitoring. With our newly launched central org-wide policies, and you can see some of the new items that we are launching here, we radically simplify policy management across your organization. And being an integral part of the Meraki platform, we have a robust set of APIs, so customers and partners can fully manage their entire SASE environment as well as their branch and campus environments, all on a single dashboard. So if you haven't checked it, definitely go and check it out. But as we look at Secure Connect, it really delivers on those key tenets, complete, simple, secure, and creates this virtuous cycle by taking a platform approach to manage your entire environment and helps you to adapt to evolving threats or changing business needs. And at the end of the day, what matters is to elevate the user experience, lead to increased productivity, and ensuring business continuity. So instead of me continuing to talk about SASE, I would like to invite Martin Edens, who's the head of technology and support at Mitchell & Butlers, to share with us a little bit of their SASE journey. Martin?
Hello.
Welcome to this nice office.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. So, Martin, can you maybe start by telling all of us about Mitchell & Butlers and what you do?
So, Mitchells & Butlers is one of the UK's largest operators of pubs, bars, and restaurants. We've got brands that some of the UK folk in the room might have heard of: Toby Carvery, All Bar One, Harvester. We've got 45,000 employees, and we've got 1,650 locations, so we've got a very big distributed estate. My role in Mitchells & Butlers is everything operational, so all of the applications, infrastructure, all the service management, that sits under myself, and I've got a team of circa 75 amazing people that report into me and deliver that service on an ongoing basis.
Awesome, and you've been on the SASE journey, so maybe can you talk a little bit about when you started your journey, and then we did talk about the fact that it is a journey. How did you bringing together converging network and security with, and what drove you to take a more unified approach to that?
Yeah, sure. So we started looking at the product last summer. So we had several products that delivered the security that we need. So VPN, web security, or proxy as it's affectionately known. Those products were coming up for renewal, and we decided to look at the market and see what was out there. The other thing that drove us to that is that we're looking to be completely cloud native, and so we've moved all of our workloads out of our data centers, and what we're left with at the moment is networking kit. And so what drove us to Secure Connect, we're a Meraki house, so we've got Meraki deployed throughout our estate, and it made sense for us to move to the Secure Connect product and have that single pane of glass to manage the estate. So in summary, renewal of some of our products coming up end of life, and our vision to just be cloud native.
Got it. So you had a compelling event to look for a more modernized solution, and given the fact that you were already embracing that kind of operational network framework of management under the Meraki, that was an easy extension.
Absolutely, and we're very familiar with the Meraki setup and solution. So again, it's a simplified transition for us.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but maybe you can elaborate. What are the benefits that you see from having this single vendor solution with unified solution with Secure Connect? We talked a little bit about the operational efficiencies, but can you talk a little bit about the broader benefits that you're seeing in your...
Yeah, so I suppose one of the key benefits for us is visibility, and it's all in one place now, as opposed to in different systems. So that single pane of glass, if you like, you can't underestimate how important that is for having everything in one place. I think one of the other benefits for us is agility in terms of managing everything in one place. We've got one set of policies, you talked about that earlier, and that's really important for us if we were to go quicker with change.
And you did share with me that it also allowed you to move fast and accelerate some of your plans.
Yeah, so we rolled the product out relatively quickly because we had timelines to adhere to. So because our other products were going end of life, we didn't want to renew with them. So it enabled us to roll out really quickly. The familiarity of the Meraki dashboard as well enabled us really seamless adoption.
Awesome, great to hear that. So maybe we can talk a little bit about the outcomes that you're expecting to see. What are you seeing now? What are the other outcomes that you're expecting to get from Cisco Secure Connect? And I do need to take notes while you're speaking here.
So for us, I mentioned it. So it's pace of change. So we want to move quicker. Not being reliant on hardware. That's important. But I think the things where we want to move to is we want to further hone in the posture that we have in terms of what we're offering and to whom. So the platform can do a lot more, and where we want to go next is really exploiting what we've invested in. So yeah, really securing what we're doing.
So can you maybe elaborate a little bit about what are the next steps?
So the next steps for us really are to look at some of our web-based applications and making sure that we've got zero trust network access deployed. That's really important because not everyone needs access to everything. So we really want to whittle that down and really reduce our posture and make sure that it's least privileged for everyone, and that includes what they're accessing and where, and the application layer.
Awesome. So again, getting better capabilities around your distributed workforce.
Yeah, and having the visibility of it as well. That's really important. It's all in one place, so that makes our job a little bit easier.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So maybe to summarize, from your learnings, the journey, if you can give one piece of advice to the audience, to whoever's looking at this and considering to embark on this SASE journey, what would be kind of one piece of advice that you can give?
So for us, we took an approach to, we took a modular approach when deploying Secure Connect. So we started with web security, proxy. We deployed that aspect first, and then we further moved on and replacing our VPN solution. The lessons that we learned from deploying the web proxy just enabled a much more seamless transition. So we chunked it up, and that would be my advice, really, when you're starting on this journey, is to just carve it up and then learn, deploy.
Yeah, and I love that approach because in many cases people think of SASE as a transformation and a kind of complete revolution, but definitely there's a good way of identifying a well-defined problem and evolve towards that. That's why we always see this as a journey.
Absolutely, and we're not done yet. There's lots more we can do with the product to further exploit what we've invested in, and we will do that, but we're doing it in nice, manageable chunks.
Awesome. Well, Martin, thanks a lot for this brief discussion. Really appreciate you coming over and sharing your insight, your experiences. So instead of, one of the other things that thank you, Martin. So as we were talking about SASE, one of the key building blocks of SASE is SSE, Security Service Edge. So we definitely are having a lot of innovations around SSE. And to talk about the new innovations and the exciting things that are coming on the SSE front, I would like to invite Jeff Schaefer, my partner in crime, to share with you very exciting things.
Thank you so very much. Okay, so Amri talked a lot about how we're bringing together this unified SASE experience. And of course, as we bring together the natural intersection of networking and security technologies with the SD-WAN as well as the Security Service Edge, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the innovation in our core cloud-based security service capabilities and how we're addressing not only secure internet access, but also secure private access technologies. So with that, as many of you are familiar, we introduced the most comprehensive Security Service Edge capabilities back in June at Cisco Live in the US, and we want to talk a little bit about the fact that they're generally available on a global basis today. Now, what we've done with Cisco Secure Access is it's our most comprehensive set of Security Service Edge technologies, and the problem we're solving is how do we securely connect a user, a device, or a thing to any application, whether it's a public web application, SaaS application, or an enterprise private application, with one experience, one architecture for both corporate connectivity as well as remote connectivity with zero trust controls. And that's the most kind of key thing is what we're looking to solve as a problem. And effectively, how do you connect anything from anywhere to any application? And we want to focus on how do we do that in such a way that it's a better experience for the end user by changing the end user experience. We want to make it simpler for IT by bringing everything into a single IT management platform. And then thirdly, safer for everyone with some of the innovative architecture capabilities that we've introduced around the core security controls. So what you find inside of Cisco Secure Access today is network security in the cloud with an enterprise firewall as a service. We have the application security controls with our secure web gateway and the cloud application security broker. And we underpin all of that at the data layer with a multi-mode DLP capability that has been designed to look at data in motion, so inline, data at rest through APIs of common cloud-based services like Dropbox and SharePoint, et cetera, and being able to extend that DLP capability to also manage over 80 different data types, but more specifically, currently innovated around how do we apply that to manage the safe use of public AI services. So how do we apply our security controls to the prompt on ChatGPT and other public data services. So that's kind of one of the key things that we've been doing in terms of modernizing this. Now, one of the things that we introduced in this new secure access, and we highlighted that yesterday during the keynote, is that we have brought forward in secure access and these security capabilities this new experience insights. So the problem, when you're looking at how do you connect a user to any application, When they're in the corporate office, or what happens when they're in the home office, the coffee shop, or somewhere in between, whereas an IT organization, you don't always own the underlying infrastructure and services. So how do you ensure that user's experience, how do you solve the application or the network experience and connectivity problems remotely? And so this is the problem that we started to solve by incorporating Thousand Eyes into our endpoint and then pulling all of that telemetry information into a central location to support this reactive troubleshooting use case. And we collect all of this information, which includes the device metrics, for example, around the CPU, the memory, the first hop network connectivity. We look at the actual network performance, application performance for the top 20 SaaS applications as well as private applications. We look at common collaboration services, and then also user-specific events around the activity or the inactivity of the endpoint. And we bring that all together in Experience Insights. Now, it might be a little easier, since you saw that on the main stage, to show you. So there's a 2-minute video that was bit-driven, so I'm going to try to talk over it. We'll see how well we do. So with respect to the video, what we're looking at here is Experience Insights as it's incorporated directly in our Secure Access dashboard. It's available across all of the security services, but the main thing that you notice here is that it's embedded into the workflow and into the user interface itself. The very first part of this shows you a summary of endpoints. So there's 900 endpoints that are under active management. There's a distribution of these endpoints based on their health scores, so you can see the color coding of the health scores. And then the next thing we start to do with that is we start to give a visual representation, visual analytics, so that we can have a better understanding of the health of all of our remote users inside of the various places by looking at the color coding of that distributed map. We can then drill into the map, in this case London, and we can look at individual endpoints in that environment. And so we can see their metrics. And then we can also look at the entire collection is automatically filtered based on what endpoints are there, and we can look at the metrics of that. Further down in Experience Insights, we can look at the performance of all of the SaaS applications that we're currently connecting. We can search them, location, their status. We can collect a lot of information about their responsiveness, any sort of response codes, and if there's a problem, we also collect the error codes and resolve it in order to support the troubleshooting and the remote connectivity. When we look back at the users, as you could imagine in 900 users, if you're looking at the full list, you need to make it more productive. So you can search, you can filter based on the location, the health status, as well as many of the device names. And once you decide which user you want to look on in a reactive troubleshooting mode, we can drill in and we bring up a user-specific page that lets us look at the actual metrics and health of that end user for the remote troubleshooting. So you have all the details around the user, you have the details around the device, such as its first hop network connectivity as well as the device. We're also able to visualize the path of connectivity from the endpoint to the POP and to the target service and beyond. And we can start to look at that as a way of identifying where the problem is in the user's experience. Based on the problem, we give guided troubleshooting tips. So in this particular instance, examples of remediation steps that we can take in order to solve the problem. You can quickly copy those, you can apply those to the user, et cetera. Beyond the user connectivity and device health, we can also look at application health. Here's an example of the collaboration application where we're looking at all the details around the collaboration. If this is insufficient in the troubleshooting or you want a broader context in terms of full stack observability, we also have the ability to swivel from Secure Access directly into, for example, Thousand Eyes and take a look at the deeper dive in terms of the troubleshooting. This is the first instance of our new Experience Insights capability. It's reactive. It allows for central troubleshooting, again, of the user's application, network experience, and problem resolution. In the next program increment and beyond, we'll continue to evolve that with event-driven approach, and then also as we apply our generative AI technologies into this data set, we'll be able to move into a much more proactive approach to managing your user experience. So we're really excited about the things that are coming there. In addition to the Experience Insights, we also introduced Cisco AI Assistant for Secure Access, which is really an AI assistant that allows us to completely change the way we author and scale out the implementation of zero trust policies in the environment. And so the whole idea there is an AI that works for you, which is to be able to help us do that. In order to do it, we have a natural language interface that allows us to interact with the AI assistant. For example, I want to say, allow access to Jira for Jeff, but not Omri. And what we will do then is that the large language model will start to resolve that natural language into the structure of both an allow and a deny policy to instantiate in the cloud security controls. as an example. And it'll disambiguate things, like Jeff could be ambiguous. Is it Jeff Schaefer? Is it Jeff Schultz? Is it Jeff Sheretz? There's a lot of different Jeffs, and so then it also allows us to do this guided disambiguation of the service. And then finally, as we do all of that, it allows us to safely and securely scale out these zero trust policies in the environment. So this is one idea of how to help accelerate zero trust adoption. Beyond that, in this whole idea of what we just discussed, which is AI for security, how to use AI technologies to improve efficacy, performance, and scalability of security operations, we also have another idea, which is security for AI. We talked about that earlier. How do we take our core cloud security controls and apply them to a user's interaction to the prompt, which is a public AI service such as ChatGPT or other open AI technologies. And so when we, exactly, so that allows us to take a look at a number of sort of things. So we can look at the interaction, which is useful and gives visibility of the threats. But the two main use cases around the interaction with the prompt is how do we identify sensitive information that is leaking through the prompt interface? I'm sure all of you saw examples in the press. Someone takes internal confidential meeting information, they go to ChatGPT, they ask for a summarization of the meeting notes, not realizing that the raw notes become public as part of the prompt in the training data set. And so you have an intellectual property leak, and it could be particularly embarrassing. So we start to extend our DLP to do that. There's two major innovations there. So one of them is looking at the prompt interaction. Historically, DLP works on keywords. We applied our AI technologies to look at the full set of information being passed to the prompt and to summarize it. And we use that in order to get the context of the information that's being passed. So we could recognize that this is a conversation about competitors. And even though the keyword never appeared in the thread, we would be able to recognize that that is confidential information and needs blocked. So it's a really interesting use case of using, generative AI to check on generative AI. So anyways, this is about preventing IP leakage. The other use case is equally true, which is the feedback from the prompt. Turns out ChatGPT, really good entry-level software engineer, and you can get the source code back. Think of it as a coding assistant. But when that source code comes back, it could easily incorporate someone else's intellectual property, and now you have an IP contamination risk. Or if it has been corrupted, it could incorporate malware, which is a supply chain hack. And so we want to be able to recognize, for example, content types coming back from the prompt, block them, watermark them if we need to so that they can be detected, for example, in build rules, and then be able to characterize and log them so we have traceability of it. And so this is this whole idea of of being able to prevent IP contamination risk. So this is this whole idea collectively, how do we apply cloud security controls to the safe use of public AI services? So something else that we're really excited in the current innovation. Now beyond that, the next major set of innovation we want to talk about, and we talked about this in the G2 announced it about injecting identity intelligence. So identity becomes the new security perimeter. How many of you saw the story on Saturday about the banker that transitioned 25 million, the financial controller that moved $25 million because of the video call, 25 people, the deep fake? The problem is identity is the attack. And what happened in that instance is he assumed that the identities were known based on what he was observing. But if you had had this idea of identity intelligence, the challenge in the industry today, we treat identity only at the initiation of a connection, and we do it by the authentication against the IDP, so it's a one-time resolution and then we trust it. So think of it as a verified identity. But that's not necessarily continuous identity assessment, which is what we need for zero trust. So what we want to do with this is we want to extend this about how do we bring this identity intelligence directly into secure access, and we're going to do three major things for that. So one of them is this idea of a trusted identity. When we do that initial authorization of the identity and we verified your identity, but we can collect a lot of context around you. You're on a known device that we've seen you on before, in a known network, from a location we've seen you before. There's no magical transporting like we saw you 15 minutes ago in Brazil, but today you're now in Amsterdam, like no time travel, right? So how do we start to do that in order to have a better confidence around this identity graph that you are who you say you are and have a higher confidence in your identity? The second thing about that is we then use that to derive a trust score, which is how do we do this continuous ongoing assessment of your identity? And then based on the trust score, we can do this idea of graduated and adaptive access. So the idea there is you can take all of your applications, you can put them into groups, sensitive apps, semi-sensitive apps, publicly available apps, And if your identity trust score continues to decline, we can do this graduated enforcement. You no longer have access to sensitive applications. You no longer have access to semi-sensitive applications. And we can then trigger activities, for example, multi-factor authentication, challenge response prompts, in order to reassert that you are who you are and re-elevate your trust score through the managed endpoint. So it's a completely new way to solve problems. If this had been in place in that video conference call, these users, which were from a location on a device and communicating with applications that had never been seen before, the system would automatically have determined that even though he looks like you're a CFO from the UK, we don't actually have high confidence that you're a CFO from the UK. And then that would have triggered that financial analyst, for example, not to take those actions. So it's a really interesting opportunity. And so we're working on this. It's coming in the second half of 24. So really excited about that. And all of this, very quickly, will be part of the services that we just described. Is we are making those part of Secure Connect. So we'll be bringing out all of this innovation in our new cloud security controls as part of our unified SASE solution. And with that, we really appreciate everyone here and the ongoing journey to Cisco's SASE journey. We look to make a big difference in the market by having innovation, the reliability of our services, and making sure it provides a tremendous value to all of you. And with that, let me conclude our conversation, ask you that you rate the session, give us the feedback. We thank you all for having been here. Thank you.